Hey there, and welcome back again to Yes, a Stripper podcast. On this podcast, we'll discuss how classifying each other as people and workers is dangerous to society and marginalized groups of people. We'll also talk about the climate in and outside of the strip clubs and all of the amazing things that strippers do. And of course, we'll talk about all of the things in between. I'm your queen, A.M. Davies, and this is Yes, a Stripper podcast.
Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Yes, a Stripper podcast. We're still quarantined. I am in my bedroom. It's pretty sexy in here, though, I'm not going to lie. So there's no better place in my house to be with me than my bedroom. Today, I want to talk about solidarity. I've noticed that during this time that people have been coming together more and more and really supporting each other and supporting causes that they care about and supporting people and different classes of people that they care about or that they're being like introduced to. And, it's been really beautiful. We've been working for strippers and trying to raise money for them. But what I wanted to really mention about solidarity is that I'd like to see solidarity happening in all eras of life and not just during coronavirus. Will you remain in solidarity when this is over and life goes back to normal? Were you in solidarity with these people before all of this happened? If you weren't, that's okay if you became woke to the idea of connecting with people. But I'd like to make sure and almost challenge you to remain connected and to remain connected with issues that you see happening, because it's more and more apparent right now about how much drama sex workers are going through as far as discrimination via the government specifically. But we've been having issues for a hella long time, and a lot of people weren't paying attention. So now that you can see it more clearly, I'm going to ask you, will you remain in solidarity with us when this is over? Because our plight is not over, and this is a lifetime long work thing that we have to do. And our next guest on the show with us today is Rebecca, aka Cats and Crows, and she is super solidarity stripper sex worker person. Rebecca, can you please say hello to everybody?
Hi everyone, how's it going?
Hi. I just really had to get that thought out, because ever since I've discovered you on Instagram, it's like all I see coming from you, besides like obvious sex stuff, which is like,
It just oozes out of me.
It just oozes out of you. Is your tenacity for being a voice for people who need to be heard.
Yeah, it's something that's just really a core value for me. It's always been with me ever since I was in school. If something I see isn't right or doesn't sit right with me, then I have to say something. Even during the lockdown, a few of my friends have been breaking lockdown, and I've been the first person to call them out because it's for the good of everyone. Stop being selfish.
Yeah. Do you know, because like I'm very similar, when I was at work, when I was dancing and I would be in the dressing room, I would always be like, well, this isn't right, and someone has to do something about it.
Yeah, that's me right there.
So where do you think that comes from? Like, is that just something that we just like wake up with one day, or have we been conditioned? Like, for me, I don't honestly know where it comes from. Do you have any idea of why you are who you are?
I'm not so sure. I've been doing a lot of kind of like introspective work since lockdown as well. I've been thinking a lot about myself, like where my personality comes from. And as a kid, I guess I had to compete a lot for attention with my brother because he's autistic. So I've always been very like, me, look at me. So,
Yeah.
So, but then I guess the righteousness, I don't know where that comes from. It's always been there. Even when I was like a nerdy kid and I played video games, I always picked like the goody side.
Yeah.
It's always just been in me. I'm not saying that I don't break laws, because laws are definitely not a guide for morality, but I definitely have a very strong moral compass. And I guess it comes maybe from the experiences we've had. Perhaps we've suffered injustices.
Yeah.
I feel like That's the only place I could bring it from consciously.
Yeah, and maybe it's like a combination of being very like, hello, I'm here, and mixed with the experiences we've had, because there's plenty of sex workers who are like, I'm fine over here keeping my head down.
100%. I know
totally
plenty of
fine.
introverted sex workers.
Yeah, and I'm not introverted at all. I'm like,
me neither. I can't help myself. I just exist. I'm there. I happen at you.
Yeah. So do you consider yourself a stripper and or sex worker?
I consider myself a sex worker. I guess I've done so many roles within sex work. Stripping was actually my first sex work job. The second I turned 18, I was like, strip club, there's money. I can make money there. Like, loads of money. I love money.
Yeah.
Straight away. And like, in my own way, I thought I was working for myself. Obviously, now I realize the exploitation that goes on in clubs is insane. But it was pure freedom for me. So straight away I went to stripping, and now I consider myself just a broad sex worker.
A broad sex worker. Got it. So, oh my God, I have so many questions for you. I want to talk about what happens, how your deal is on social media.
Right.
I mean, I know your story because, I'm one of the leaders of Everybody Visible, and we've done work together, which is incredible.
Love it.
Yeah, but before we get into like the amazing work you did in London that one day, let's talk about what the frick keeps happening to your social media accounts. You keep getting deleted. How many times has your account been deleted now?
My original Instagram at Cats and Crows has been deleted 7 times. It was reinstated 6 times, which was crazy. But it followed such a distinctive, weird pattern. It would go down for a few weeks, come back, and then disappear again for about half a day and come back. And that happened like 3 times. And I was like, this is weird. And it always happened at coincidental times, directly after the protest, directly after I'd posted a video that exposed something. So that's one of the crazy things that's been going on with my personal account. Obviously the problem is much wider than that.
Yeah. How many followers did you have when the first time your account was like?
It was one of my greatest achievements, and although now I feel like I'm free from my account because it was so high, I was really proud. I got it all the way to 725,000 followers, I think it is max.
Dude, that's incredible.
I could have hit a mill if I'd carried on. I was aiming for a mill.
That's incredible. So did you feel like, because you kind of made a comment, so I'm wondering now, did you feel sort of like a huge responsibility to such a large account?
So much. Not so much in the way that I had a responsibility to be a certain way, but I felt like I had to post every day to keep my engagement up. Obviously, my account was heavily shitty banned. So it was just stress, every post had to be as good as the last one. And I had to post every day. Now I don't. Sometimes I don't post for days, and my mental health is so much better.
Really? That's so good to know and good to hear, for people to hear, because there's this strive to be Insta famous, right? But then, like you said, your mental health, like, can you talk a little bit about why that would kind of mess with your mental health?
I linked in my productivity with my mental health. So even if I was having a bad mental health day, I would make a video about that. And whilst it was kind of cathartic in a way, it for me, I was using it as a bit of a crutch. I used people's sympathies as a way to soothe my pain rather than face any problem that I had in my head. So that huge amount of followers for me was literally like my safety blanket that I would surround myself with rather than deal with my problems. So I guess striving for that on social media is what people want. They want the love and affection to kind of cover up the problems and soothe their pain, which is totally understandable. But it's pure distraction. It's a pure dopamine hit. You're sat there not thinking, you're not using your mind in the way that we used to before social media. So that's the way I think social media damages people.
Did you notice that before losing your account or after?
I began to realize, I think, when it started going wrong, and I started really thinking about my relationship with it. Because when I didn't have it, it would be sometimes weeks at a time, and I would notice that I would get calmer, I suppose, or at least when my aggro with Insta started and I started caring less about maintaining my account and more about revealing the truth, I felt more free. I was like, I can just post a screenshot of my Twitter account. It's going to get no likes, but I don't give a fuck, because at least I'll be doing something progressive rather than just chasing likes.
Right. Wow. I think it's really
Yeah.
important for people to hear, because we all want 1 million followers, right?
It would be cool. Like, it would be really, really cool. And it's great for business too. Like, you can't lie. It's a huge business tool.
Totally. So this all happened. Then, Everybody Visible happened. The work that we did is basically, and I'm just going to let the audience know, and I know you know this, Everybody Visible was an activism campaign to protest the discrimination of social media executives towards anyone that's different, LGBTQ, people of color, sex workers, the big, beautiful women community.
Those communities, fetish communities, artists.
Thank you. Thank
even
you for
meme
helping.
artists.
Yeah,
So many.
Yeah, so many people. Anyone who's different, basically.
Yeah.
And we protested on October 29th of 2019. Doesn't it feel like much longer ago that happened?
Is it really that recent? So much has happened, though. So much has happened.
Everybody Visible, October 29th, we protest. We tag all these executives on Instagram, and to make the point and to tell all of these stories. And you were one of those stories that we ended up featuring and telling. But you took things one step further. Why don't you just tell the story? What did you do recently in London with a group of people in a megaphone?
Well, it's happened twice now. I guess first, after my account was deleted in May 2019, I held the first protest in London outside of Instagram's headquarters. It was definitely the Instagram headquarters. I made and checked everything beforehand. I did loads of kind of edging on creepy investigating work, but I wanted to make sure it was right. And I really, really wanted basically just to have a meeting with Instagram. I believe truly that they sincerely didn't understand our cause. It was just a miscommunication. And if we opened up a line of communication, then we could fix all the problems. So we turn up. We request a meeting. It's a friendly protest. It's got hella sex workers. Everyone's running around in their pleasers, and it's nice weather, so everyone's wearing harnesses and pasties, and everyone looks great, and there's glitter and cake and sandwiches, and it's kind of like a party outside of the Instagram HQ. And I got a megaphone. We're chanting. We're getting all the public involved. It's wild. And instead of any kind of acknowledgement or even show of humanity, they hire extra security, they blockade the building doors, they stop any of their own staff coming in and out of the building, they stop us coming in and out of the building. They just point blank kind of refuse to acknowledge our existence, which is obviously a repetitive pattern in sex work history. People try and pretend that we don't exist. So I held another protest outside of the headquarters again. This time it was in the winter. Unfortunately, it wasn't as well attended because it was raining. But we managed to get inside the office this time with the help of my union, which is the United Strippers of the World, I believe. I think they're only UK based right now.
Yes.
But we managed to get inside. We did some great press and stuff, which led me up to my fundraiser campaign to raise money to actually take Instagram as a company to court. Unfortunately, that's on hold right now because of all the COVID-19 stuff. But that's pretty much where the story's up to.
Did you begin, did the fundraising part start?
It did just as lockdown, I think, began. So loads of people lost their jobs, and also the sex workers obviously couldn't work because of social distancing, and a ton of hardship funds have started up due to the lack of funding and help from the governments. And I didn't want to be taking money that people would be choosing to either give to that fund or my fund. I couldn't possibly live with the decision, it's saving people's lives. So
okay, so when that kicks back in, let me know.
I 100% will. I'm going to get in touch with everybody. I think a lot of people will be more in line with our cause then, because let's face it, during lockdown, everybody started an OnlyFans, right? And everyone will now experience the discrimination from trying to advertise their OnlyFans on Instagram. I think it's going to be much more wider publicized by the time lockdown's done.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is a silver lining to this bullshit. And that's kind of what I was talking about in the beginning. It's like, you've seen the blatant discrimination and disregard for our work. I would like to use an example of the young woman who got fired from a Honda dealership recently because
I saw that.
she started an OnlyFans account, and her coworkers were watching her probably having sex or doing something sexual on her OnlyFans account at work. And then and she got fired because they were watching. First of all, you shouldn't be watching any sex shit at work.
At work, don't consume adult products at work. You don't drink at work,
Not at
do you?
work. Right.
No.
And especially not of your coworker.
No, that's also creepy.
It's creepy. It's weird. It's rude. And then she gets fired. And so that story went really viral for about 24 hours. And then a bunch of people made Yelp reviews. I made a Yelp review. And so the car dealership's like in Indiana or some shit like that. You know? And I'm like, I've never been there.
And you're like,
but I'm like, I will never
get it.
go to this dealership.
Good. I mean, that's our weapons right now. Why not? They're weaponizing the internet against us, so we'll weaponize it right back against you in any way we can.
Totally. But what I saw too in like the tweets and stuff is like people who I didn't seem like they're not sex workers. Like a lot of white men actually are like, what? Like, you know, and they're the ones I've said this before. White men are the ones that really need their minds changed the most.
100%.
For us to win this battle because they're leading the charge against us.
Yeah.
And they consume sex worker services and products more than anybody else.
It's the bizarrest paradox. There's no other adult industry where the consumers are also campaigning for the shutdown. Not in gambling, not in drinking, not in drugs. Sex work is the only place where people consume and also campaign for the censorship law.
Yeah, you're right.
Isn't that bizarre?
Yeah,
right?
You're right. Yeah. No one's like, we should stop gambling forever. Gambling
and then they're
bad.
gambling.
Yeah, right. They're like, oh, that's fine.
Right.
I think it's fine if you want to gamble. I don't see what the problem is.
I don't see the problem. You can do an adult thing. You can risk your life, risk your money, risk your whatever you want. It's your choice. It's your freedom, right?
Right. So, okay. So to circle back, so this is becoming very apparent. And so maybe, hopefully maybe. And that's why I was like, are you going to stay in solidarity with us? Because our problems aren't going away. They just
no way.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Have you seen much like whorephobia, especially from people that are now entering the sex work industry? Because I thought I would see more, but people have been surprisingly open-minded about it. Yeah.
I've seen more too, and I wonder if it's because, and this is what I slightly wonder and worry about, if they're like, well, you got to do what you got to do right now, you know? And so when things go back to normal, will it be like, well, I mean, like there's job opportunities now. Like why are you still doing that? Like, will that happen?
So they're not viewing it as actual genuine employment.
I don't know. Know. Like, how many times have you been at a place or at work and somebody says to you, why are you here? You're too good.
What's your real job? What's your day job or something? Yeah. They're like, oh, what else do you do? I'm like, this is my job. I bought my house with this job. Is that okay? Like, you want to see my taxes? Like, it's wild. It's really bizarre how people still don't view it as real employment.
Yeah, and I don't know. And so I was on this conference call with these sex worker advocates the other day, and there was a woman on there who has been doing this work for like decades.
Right.
Decades. And I'm looking at her going, yes, bitch, you are my future. I will be you, wrinkly and old.
Love. That's what I want from my life. I just want to be free.
Yeah, but still doing this work, and it's like, how much longer do we have to do this before you get it?
Yeah, literally, they've been campaigning this forever, right? And it's so upsetting to see setbacks like the explicit notice in the US financial aid, COVID aid, sex workers are just written out of it. It's so blatant. Stuff like that really upsets me. So have people been reacting to it in the States? Because in the UK, we've been talking about it, but I guess our influence doesn't really influence
not
much.
Enough. And that's been a slight irritant for me because I'm very like, move, like all the time.
Me too.
And I understand. And so like, I'm so glad you asked me this question, because at first I was like, we need to do everything we can. Like, we need to get all the sex worker organizations together, and we need to write a letter, and we need to sue the administration. We need to sue every single state. And then my partner was like, there are people though that have been doing this for a very long time and know what they're doing. And then I slowly realized, I'm like, man, like I've never done sex worker advocacy before. Like, this is really my first time in like the last year and a half. And so then I can't just show up to the show and start stomping around and throwing my weight around. So I kind of went like this. I just need to learn, actually. Learn, and I
feel the same way.
Yeah, and I just need to ask other organizations, how can I be of service to you?
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I like had this aha moment yesterday on the sex worker advocacy call with Rad Mission, who they are very rad, and they are
awesome.
And
love.
So have you heard of them?
No, I haven't, but I love the name.
Yeah, look them up.
Tell me about them.
Great. Well, I just learned about them, so I don't know too much yet, but I do know that they're working with other groups, and they're they're working on the legal stuff that we're dealing with, just in a different way. I'm like ready to like blow my load and scream at everybody, but they're being a lot more methodical and strategic about things. So yeah, so I say all that to say, we have a lot of work to do and a lot of learning to do.
We do. Even I'm the same. My advocacy or activism, I suppose, it's more appropriate, has only been since my Instagram got deactivated. I've always been like a rebellious person standing up for shit, but like standing for something as a cause, as part of a cause, rather than being the face of something is news to me. Sometimes I need to learn that I don't need to be the loudest voice in the room.
Yeah, and that takes so much practice, doesn't it, for people like us? Oh my God.
I'm the first person to be like, but it's not right. It's not always right. Yeah.
So I want to switch gears a little bit. Something that I find extremely fascinating about you is the way you perform.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. You're like Spitfire. You literally dance with fire. I think you use fire, right?
I do everything with fire. Anything you think about with fire, I can probably do it.
Why fire? Tell us all about like what the deal is with your fire, how you got into it, why you like it. Tell us everything.
Fire was an opportunity for me to not get a real job. By real job, I mean corporate job. I deliberately began performing and got my extremities tattooed so that I couldn't get like a corporate job when I was 18. So fire was never like an artistic pursuit for me. It has become that in my journey. I've been doing it now for like 10 years, which is crazy because there's some amazing fire performers that have been doing it for much less time than me, and they're much better than me. But for me, it's the best way for me to express my personality, I think, on stage. And I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie too. I definitely got an addictive personality. I thrive on risk and doing dumb shit. I've been doing dumb shit since I was a kid. I used to copy Jackass. It was my favorite show. Of course.
Oh, amazing. Do you have any
Huh?
Do you have any footage of you doing that?
I might do. I have videos of me standing in puddles and throwing myself off things, running into walls. It's dumb. It's dumb. But I've always been a bit of a, like I said, attention person. Like, hi.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You crowd surf, right?
I love crowd surfing. I love moshing. I'm a real alternative girl.
Oh, yeah.
I've had my fair share of injuries. I knocked myself out on stage one time. I have a photo.
You knocked yourself out? How did that happen?
Yeah. So I was doing my Harlequin burlesque, and obviously Harlequin has a baseball bat. And I was super tired. I was day 3 of a stint of shows while I was on tour in the States. And I swing it around my head, being like, wait, but I didn't quite lift my arm up high enough. So I go around once, I go around twice, and crack! Like my vision goes blurry, and I get this cartoon golf ball size lump on my head. I have a photo. Like, I didn't believe that really happened, but it does, apparently.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Did you see stars?
I kind of just saw a blurry vision, and then I just don't remember the rest of the show, but I did finish the show. I hosted the show as well. Like, I was talking.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I don't know how. It's
Did
magic.
anybody say that you were acting different or weird or anything?
I only noticed that people kept coming and like sitting with me in my corner of the dressing room, and I must have been chatting some real bullshit because I don't remember anything. And just every member of the cast kept coming and sitting with me in between their numbers and just being like, just go and sit there with Rebecca and make
Yeah.
sure she's okay. And then get her on stage when she needs to be on stage, and then take her off again. And they looked after me. They're an awesome family. This is my Suicide Girl family.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
They're the kindest human beings in the world. Yeah, it was great. I was
So
fine.
great. I love hearing that they're so kind, because there's a misconception that in the type of world that we operate in, there's a lot of competitiveness and cattiness. And it's so nice to hear that it's like being a part of a family.
Yeah, so much. I think that's the main thing that I think women especially latch onto if they're anti-sex work, because they believe that it's a negative environment for women to exist in. And it's really not. It's so supportive.
It's so supportive. I truly believe that, and I've had these conversations with my mom, that I've become a better, stronger person through the work that I've been doing for most of my adult life.
Same.
Yeah, and I've learned so much about real life through being in the clubs and like applying it. No, let me re-say that. I've learned so much in the club and have been able to apply that to real life, and then like see it and thrive in real life due to the shit that I learned in the club.
100%. So many skills. Like every sex worker I know has a multitude, like a plethora of skills.
Yeah.
They're just randomly acquired through sex work, through some way. And like some really like fundamental skills as well that people don't particularly practice nowadays, like conversational and hustle and stuff like that. Like people spend a lot of time on their phones nowadays, but I like to think I've still got quite good conversational skills because I literally taught myself to learn in a club, you know?
Yeah, we have so many hours of practice talking to people and coming up. You know how people are like, oh, you know how you like you say something or like you think about it later and you're like, damn, I wish I would have said that. And I'm like, that rarely happens to me now.
I said it right at the time. I'm always right at
time.
Yeah, I listen to every often.
Yeah, because so many times I've been like, fuck, I should have said that thing. Fuck, I should have said that thing. So many times in the club, and now I'm like, I said that thing, right?
I've got a script. Yeah.
When the timing was right. Yeah.
It's great. It's great. It's powerful, dude. It's good.
Yeah. So
gotta use our words.
What's your dating life like? Because mine is really hard being out loud about how I am. Yeah.
I think I've always tried to date other outlandish people, which is never worked out. And I'm single right now. I broke up with my boyfriend just before lockdown. It was a short-term thing, and I just also come out of an abusive relationship before that. So like, it was wild. My dating life has been wild. I think through my, I don't know, personality, just who I am, I attract the kind of people that either want something from me or are as crazy as me. But a lot of men, I think especially white men, who I've tended to date, haven't dealt with their shit, you know, in the same way that women have. So my dating life has been pretty wild. That's the only way to describe it.
Yeah, that's how mine was for a long time.
Yeah.
And I was like, enough. Because
I'm done with it now.
Yeah, like I had to date like bouncers and strip club managers because they get it. They get me. They still, there's issues. And then
they're still part of the patriarchal kind of systems of oppression.
Yeah, and then forget about trying to date a normal guy because he can't take me home to his mom because if you on my Instagram account, I'm licking my titties.
I don't think I ever even dated. I didn't even try to date a normal guy. I dated like musicians, tattoo artists, pro wrestlers. Oh, get them all away from me.
Sexy.
Oh, get them all away.
I know it's so sexy, but it's so much. I know I've done
that ego. That ego game is strong.
I know. So yeah, so it's same. It is wild and it is
good. I'm glad it's not just me. I feel less alone.
Oh God, no. I don't know how I feel for people, and I know that there are sex workers that have amazing partners. I know.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's like, well, how do I figure that out? You know. Yeah, so it's literally like it's something that I had to turn into like a part-time side job.
Yeah, it's definitely something I've been working on. It takes active work to figure out your life. Like I guess it's part of being a sex worker is you have to figure out how it fits into all areas of your life, like your family, your job. If you have kids and stuff, you have to have those conversations. Like, it's an extra layer of stuff that you got to do in life, right?
Yeah, 100%. And how
It's
do
heavy.
you explain to somebody who has never met somebody like us that, and that's what I wrestle with. And I'm like, either they have to get it right away from now on.
Yeah.
And so I don't know about you, but when I'm on like these dating apps now, I'm on Hinge now.
I never use them. I always get catfished, so I've never used them.
I really like Hinge. Hinge has seemed to work out so far. I'll give you guys an update later on that.
All right.
Yeah, but I'm like, I'll do things like I posted my Instagram account on there so that they could see everything right away. I posted like a picture of me smoking 2 joints at once. I posted, like
I love that. I'd go for that.
I posted a picture of me standing like with my pole, and I'm very much like upfront, like this is who I am, what I am, and I'll say, like, I'll ask questions in text message, and if I get an answer I like, then I'll continue. But it's like kind of a test.
Yeah, 100%. I'm a real boundary pusher as a person anyway. Yeah. I think just because my big personality, I have to figure out quite quickly where people's boundaries are, and it's always the same with my job. And I feel like it's a good opportunity to have conversations with people if they don't agree with you either. I quite like having a debate with someone.
Yeah. So okay, I'll tell you one if you tell me one. Do you have one that you remember? Okay.
Oh my God, no, probably not.
No.
But you tell me one and I
I'll tell you one really quick.
Yeah.
I'm so like, I read between the lines, red flag, red flag, red flag, where other people might not see them.
I do. I'm a bit obsessive. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm like, I mentioned like, oh yeah, in my line of work, it's kind of hard to date. And he's like, well, I can see that. I can understand that because like, I'm not a jealous person, but my ex-girlfriend was a stripper, and like that work like brought out, like can bring out the worst in people, like jealousy and all this other stuff. And like wrote this whole long paragraph about how the work itself, it's not the person, it's the work. And I'm like, ooh. Yeah, and it was a really long paragraph, and my response was, yikes.
Yikes. Yeah, correct. Yikes. It's scary when people put that much thought into it, especially. It's kind of like a mansplaining, but also a put down at the same time.
Yeah, and I was like, and I dated someone for 7 years, and we didn't have issues because of my sex work. We had issues for reasons. Yeah, and so that was my one story about
one of my exes had a small issue. Like they always pretend to be okay with it in the beginning, but I would come home from like photo shoots, like just a photo shoot, and he'd be like, "Did you get your boobs out?" And I'd be like, "Yes, it's my job." It's just so bizarre how people they slide it in later on.
Well, what do they think, that your boobs belong to only them? That they're
just because you're in a relationship now, right? It's your body, it's your choice.
Yours.
I think a lot of girls still struggle with that. It's really sad. I have a lot of people talk to me about it, especially in like person and stuff. Yeah, it's tough.
Talk to you about what? Can you elaborate on that?
Like their boyfriends, or trying to date while being a sex worker. Like people just seem to, a lot of men in the UK seem to be okay with the culture, sex work culture. They're very activist with it. But when it comes to interacting on a personal level with sex worker, they still don't see them on the same kind of like level as other humans.
So what suggestion would you give to a sex worker who's experiencing like sort of slut shaming by a partner about their work? Like what would you advise if they asked you?
I think the problem is the problem people have with sex workers, any kind of misconception, and that's what it is, it's a misconception, can be corrected purely by interacting with sex workers as human beings. So if your partner perhaps has a problem with your sex work, maybe introduce them to other sex workers who interact with other people on a human level, because people get this idea in their head that we're the sex crazed demon that's going to steal your morality and your children and something, I don't know, but actually we're just like actual human beings with like real lives as well. So if you start to see it as human beings, then you'll stop, I think, quite quickly having that stigma.
Yeah, totally. Well, and lastly, the last thing I want to ask you about is you mentioned exploitation in the strip clubs and whatnot over in the UK. You know, I don't know nearly as much about what's going on in the UK clubs. I know a little bit from talking to Ivy from United. United. Shit, we got to get.
She's the United Strippers of the World.
United Strippers of the World. Thank you.
She's in my union. My episode with her comes out right now, actually, today.
Oh, exciting. Very exciting.
She's
Please
great.
Send that link. Yeah. What's going on? Can you give us like a quick rundown of like what's really going on in the UK club?
So the UK club model is based, I don't know how it is in the US, but I guess you have a really heavily exploitative system where the club owners basically profit off the dancers as well as the bar, as well as the entrance fee. Yes. So they charge you a house fee, you pay to work, they sometimes take commission. They can fine you for your dress, they can fine you for your behavior, they can fine you for fucking anything, for not turning up for a shift, etc. So it's heavily exploitative. They control everything about your shifts, your hours, your dress, literally how long until you can interact with the customer, how many drinks your customers have to buy. They control everything about you, but they class you as a self-employed worker, which means they don't have to provide any benefits for you. They don't have to basically support you in any way. So in the UK, this has been going on pretty much as the model of strip clubs since strip clubs have originated. But this year, a member of our union took a strip club in London to court and won worker status, or the club ruled that this club was what it was asking of its employees, its girls, was on level with worker status. So therefore, they deserved the same benefits as being a worker. So the ruling was that they were workers. So
okay,
now
we're in, right? That's huge.
Which is fucking awesome. But there's a lot of misconceptions about what that means. Okay. There's obviously a lot of strip clubs across the UK. We're not all unionized at the moment. It was a lot very soon, and a lot of misinformation has been spread through clubs that it's a negative, that it's trying to take power away from the dancers. It's a similar thing to what's going on in California. Yeah. Okay. Everyone's read the fear stories about that. Mm-hmm. So people at the moment are a bit in uprising, especially with the fact that the clubs are all now shut down. Everyone's lost their incomes. Everyone's freaking out. So that's kind of what's going on right now. We're just trying to, like, nothing has actually changed, nothing will change, but that legal ruling has opened the door for a lot more people to take their clubs to court and for unions to demand more and better conditions for workers, as we've been ruled from clubs.
Okay. Well, the wheels are in motion, it sounds like.
That's right, it is. It's just we gotta join up, guys. Come on, we gotta be on the same team.
Yeah, we have to glom together.
Team, we all want the same thing. It's just all a big. People are turning us against each other, and it's usually the club bosses. So
yeah. Well, again, it's a good thing that strippers are becoming cammers now, because they understand the plight of cammers.
That's why I love people coming over to being online sex workers. So many people are joining right now, and I'm like, welcome to being free from the patriarchy.
Yeah.
Want to be fabulous just like these strippers? Pay attention. It's stripper tips.
I want to know what your stripper tip is.
I think because I was so shit at it for so many years, I was really bad at remembering people's names. And I think being personable is your number one thing that really makes you stick in people's minds. So always remember people's names and always remember little facts about people. That is my stripper tip, whether it's online, in person, or anything like that, because it makes them feel special. And if you, I'm always like, when I have a conversation with someone now, I'll say their name when I meet them, and I'll repeat their name several times through the conversation. Just stuff like that. I think that's
do you
like
do anything in your head? Do you do your own mind exercises too?
I really suck at that. I suck at any, because I have an ADHD brain. It just kind of goes, oh, shiny, shiny.
Gotcha.
So as long as I repeat their name several times in the following conversation, that was a tip given to me. So make sure you just say their name, literally almost to the point where it's laughable. Just be like, oh yeah, hey, Anne, that's nice. That's a nice opinion, Anne. Like, oh, thanks for that. Like, and it will stick in your head eventually, even if you sound a bit crazy. But
it might sound,
everybody's crazy.
I've considered doing it. I know that is a thing. I've considered doing it, but it's like, you start to sound a little like,
but then they might remember you for being crazy. So Yeah. People never forget me. That's always my win because I look crazy and I act
Well,
crazy.
you are one of a kind, my friend.
Get ready for our rapid fire question round. It's time for 4 for 1.
All right, guys, it's Rebecca's 4 for 1 time. All right, what is the craziest thing that ever happened to you on a date?
The craziest thing that ever happened to me on a date was I fell into some roadworks. I accidentally leaned against it and it wasn't very stable and I fell down into the ground 6 feet.
Feet into the ground?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Outside a club, and then they wouldn't let me in for some reason.
Did they think maybe they thought you were drunk or something? Or I know why
maybe.
they wouldn't. That's a liability thing. They're like, no, if she gets injured later, then she could blame it on the club. Yeah.
This bitch is crazy. She's not trustworthy.
Yeah. Amazing. All right, next one. How do you sleep at night?
I don't. I fucking don't. I sleep as my nemesis.
Really?
I have real bad insomnia and night terrors, night paralysis. I was in an accident at nighttime when I was younger, so it's
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Interesting. Have you ever told someone that their face looked comfortable enough to sit on?
Definitely in a strip club. I've said all the lines. All the lines.
What about outside the strip club, just in like normal civilian life?
No, I don't know. I'm quite a small person. I'm like 110 pounds, like 5'2". But I'm not a big fan of face sitting. I'm just worried I'm gonna suffocate it somewhere.
Well, there's a key to it. You just don't release your weight down, and you know what I mean. There's the whole.
I'm very clumsy. I can't even begin to tell you, honestly.
All right, last question. If you had to leave everything behind and hit the road in an apocalypse type situation, what 3 items would you pack?
I would pack my cat, my naked Sphinx cat, who is my baby, my love and joy.
Yeah.
I would pack, I'm looking at it right now, my sword. I think that'd be quite good.
Fuck yeah.
Right?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
What else?
And then I'd pack my rolling box so that I can have a J on the road. It rolls up really, it's so convenient. It's like,
yeah, that is the ultimate kit right there. I'm super jealous if you did. One of my answers would have been tampons because get messy.
Bitch, let it out. It's serious apocalypse. I mean, unless it attracts zombies or whatever.
It's a lot. It gets real messy though.
Yeah. It might. You might be able to use it, weaponize it against men. I don't know.
Oh my God, this has been such a pleasure. I knew you were gonna be fun.
I've had a great time. I've had a really fun time. It's nice being on the other side.
Yeah. Can you tell everyone where to find you and how to learn more about you?
Yes. So you can find me everywhere on the internet, OnlyFans, Twitter, probably everywhere else except for Instagram at Cats and Crows, KATSANDCROWS. Instagram is now Riots and Crows, RIOTSANDCROWS. You can find my podcast anywhere that you find your podcast. It's Crowversation, like conversation, but
got it. Yeah. That's really cute.
Then, or if you want to find me on Suicide Girls, my name is Catherine with a K.
Love it. Perfect. Lots of places to find you.
All over the place. All of me, all over the place. Yeah.
Awesome. Is there anything is there any message that you want to send to sex workers around the world right now, considering the state of affairs?
I mean, I think just try and promote the hardship funds as much as possible. Remember that it's tough for us, but it's super tough for people whose jobs are criminalized or at least not fully legal, and they can't get like any kind of aid from anywhere. So yeah, just try and like promote and support everyone right now. It's hard for everyone, so let's at least try and come out of it as a more tight-knit community.
Yeah, united. Awesome.
Friends.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me today and having this
conversation.
You're so welcome. That's a wrap for today's show, you guys. As always, tune in every Wednesday to watch me talk to amazing strippers and sex workers around the world. See you next time.
If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email us at yesastripperpodcast@gmail.com. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at yesastripperpodcast. And you can catch the show on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, anywhere that you can find podcasts. We hope you tune in next week. I've been your host, A.M. Davies. See you soon.